Hey, what's going on, everyone? Um, why you shouldn't be snooping on your ex? Why you should never snoop on your ex? This ties in very closely with no contact. In fact, I would argue the purpose of no contact is to not get any new information on your ex. There are so many important reasons for why this is the most important rule of all, I would say. More than half of the calls I get, the sessions I do, are normally because the person I'm working with has just broken that most important rule, which is, we call it no information. That's what I call it. No information means you don't need any info on what your ex is doing. You shouldn't be looking at their Instagram, on their Twitter, on their Facebook. You shouldn't be snooping, basically. And like I said, most of the calls, in fact, I just had a call just now that wrapped up, which is why I wanted to do this video, was for that exact same reason. I'll get a call or I'll get a request for a session, and it's normally because that person has just found out some new information about their ex. And they usually are not aware of how important that is, how significant that is, and why that's the reason for why they're feeling upset, down, depressed, sad, hurt, angry. It's because of that. So usually for the first few minutes of our sessions, I listen, but about 5 minutes into it, I normally ask, did you recently find out some new information about what your ex is doing? Did you look at their Instagram, or did someone tell you something? And usually the answer is yes. I just saw a picture of my ex with her new boyfriend, or this guy, or my ex with this girl, or so it's almost always because of that. So realize and understand the importance of not snooping. What's going on is that if you're going through a breakup, if you're going through a divorce, if you're going through any type of difficult situation, it's sort of like you've just had to eat something really terrible for your body to digest. And your body suddenly starts going into a mode of when you eat like a steak or something, like your energy level goes down, you have this food coma, you want to almost go to sleep. Why? Because so much energy is being diverted into processing something that's difficult, digesting something that's difficult. And what's difficult for you out there going through a divorce or a breakup is the thoughts. The thoughts that you're having are the difficult things that need to be digested and processed. So if I have a thought that this person, let's say my ex, is much happier now with this new person and he or she doesn't care about me, that's a thought that needs to be processed and digested. And for most people, they are not aware of these thoughts, and they spend all day long just, automatically trying to digest these thoughts. And for most people, you're eventually going to process the thoughts. Eventually, you're going to find the counter, the solutions. Solution is the right word. We talk about, it's the roots of that word are similar to solubility, solution. It's something that can, like a solvent, it can dissolve, right? That's what a solution is. It dissolves, it processes. And it's like your stomach acid, digesting the difficult things that you've consumed. So if you consider that the thoughts are what you're really facing, that's the difficulty you're facing in a breakup, in a separation, is those thoughts, those daily thoughts that you're having, that I'm not good enough, that, I've been rejected, or what's wrong with me, or my ex is happier, or whatever it is. There's going to be hundreds of different thoughts. In fact, you're going to think that there are hundreds of different thoughts, when in fact there are hundreds of variations of the same root thoughts. And if you can start journaling these thoughts, and that's what we mean by journaling, is when journaling for a difficult life event like a breakup or divorce, what we want to journal, what we want to make a note of, is those thoughts. Because by putting those thoughts onto paper, by putting them out in front of us, we will soon realize that, hey, there isn't 100 thoughts. There's just 6 or 7 thoughts that keep repeating in different variations. And the way that I guide people through processing these thoughts is, a technique called counterbalancing, which is for every negative thought that you're having that's difficult to digest, you want to smash it with 3 counter thoughts. Usually those thoughts that you're having are untrue. We tend to believe they're true, but they're actually lies. Those thoughts we're having are lies. That our ex is happier without us, or it doesn't care about us. It's usually our mind playing tricks on us, telling us the most painful stories ever. When you don't have facts, if you don't have something in front of you, if you don't have like evidence or proof, we tend to make up the most painful, scariest stories. I use this as an example with people I work with today. It came up in one of our sessions, which is the movie Jaws, or the original Alien movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it out there, but in those movies, the directors are so clever that they leave the monsters up to your imagination. They don't actually show you the shark. For more than half the movie, you're just get a sense that there is this shark. Or in Alien, it's the same thing. You don't see the monster much at all, really, until the very end. And even then, it's just very sporadic. You just see flashes of it. Why? Because those directors are masters. They realize that nothing can compete with your imagination. Nothing. And what you imagine while you're going through your breakup, nothing's going to be more painful than those stories that you're telling yourself. So it's so important for you to, number one, realize that that's a natural human thing, that we tend to do that we think the worst, and we create stories. It's usually when, it's a result of fear, when people are more aligned with fear, and when you go through a breakup, it's just 100% natural that you're going to be more in that state of fear and lack and, just panic, worry, concern. So there's nothing to be ashamed of if you're thinking fearful thoughts. It's just natural. So take it easy on yourself. Remember love. Love means acceptance, and self-love means self-acceptance. And what that means is if you feel angry, or if you feel hatred, or if you feel sad or frustration, to love those feelings, to accept them, to be like, oh, I'm angry, it's okay. Hello, anger. Hi, anger. How are you? Long time no see. Identify that it's a part of you, that anger. It's a part, we're very complex. We don't just have one character and personality. We have many different. We have anger. We have a sad self. We have a happy self. We have a silly self. We have a serious self. We have so many different versions of ourselves within us. We have a child, we have a victim, we have the strong adult, the wise, mature self. And it's important that throughout our life we strengthen and condition those selves, those different mindsets that serve us the most. Those are the ones we want to focus on and strengthen and make more prominent. So when you're going through a difficulty like a breakup or a divorce or separation, first step is to understand that, okay, I'm telling myself painful stories that are most likely not true. Because the truth is usually totally different. We think that, your ex is doing this and partying and having the best time, but then you realize that they're not, that they're actually suffering, that they're having difficulties, that they are feeling the lack too, that they're doing their best to deal with it in their best way. And always remember that even if you think your ex is with someone else, or you know for a fact that they're with someone else, remember that, hey, relationships aren't perfect either. So it's not necessarily like a good thing that they're with someone. It's better to be free sometimes, to be independent, rather than to be in a relationship, that's not good or has come about out of a rebound or something like that. So the point is here, and my client very cleverly, he said, well, I don't want to lie to myself. I want to, and this is where I explained to him that most of those stories that we tell are actually not true. And it's the counterbalancing work that we do that's the truth. They say the truth sets you free. And it's certainly what's going on here is it's the truth that's going to set you free. It's not that you're going to lie to yourself, because that's not going to work. You need to believe the countering that you're doing, the counter thoughts that you're doing, for them to work. That's how you're going to process and move forward and come to terms and come to peace with these difficult to digest thoughts. And that's the art of counterbalancing. Counterbalancing, you become better at it as time goes on. I describe it it's similar to like you have two lawyers in your head. You have the lawyer that's attacking you, that's saying, oh, you're lonely now, you're alone, you're worthless, he or she left you because you've got nothing to offer, you're ugly, you're poor, you're whatever, yeah? And then you have this other lawyer in your head that's going to stand up and fight for you and say, objection, I'm not, I'm amazing, I'm strong. And then it's going to, the more creative and intelligent you can be with your counter arguments, the more you're going to convince that jury. That jury is your master, your mastermind, is the overseeing mind that's going to, everything's going to click and it's going to allow you to move forward peacefully without. So this is why we overthink. This is why we get caught in just thinking, and there's so many people out there that are like, how do I stop thinking, right? Well, the way you stop thinking is the same way you would cease digesting food, and that's when the food has been fully digested. And that's the same, the way you're going to stop thinking about certain thoughts that are repeating and causing you a lot of, hell and anxiety and depression, the way you're going to cease that thinking is by dissolving it, by deciphering it, by processing it, by coming to terms, to a solution, right? By ironing it out, by fleshing it out, by exploring it. And the purpose of all this, why? Because your mind, your body is trying to learn. It's just like digestion. It's exactly the same. Just as digestion is, it's digesting the food to keep what's good, the nutrition, and it's going to crap out the rest. It's going to let go of what it doesn't need. And it's the same with these thoughts. So these thoughts that you're having that are difficult thoughts, you're going to keep, you're going to learn, you're going to keep what serves you out of all of this. From all that thinking, you're going to learn so much. And you're going to keep what's good and what's going to help you, the things that you're going to learn for your future relationships, for to watch out in the future, or to be more attracted to certain things. And then you're going to let go of what you don't need. The thoughts that you're like, I don't need to think that anymore. I'm done with that. I've come to terms and I understand now. So understanding all of this really helps tremendously. I can tell you that when I have gone through very difficult separations in my past, I was lucky in that someone once told me that, described their situation to me, a good friend, and said, hey, it took me 10 years to get over my ex, and I don't want that to be you. And you know what? That thought lit a fire under my ass. It scared me, because I know it's true. I know that some people, they take years and decades, some people an entire lifetime, they can hold on to this idea of that person was the one for me, and et cetera, et cetera. These are just thoughts that have not been processed and digested in a way that serves you. Because usually 9 times out of 10, what serves you in life is to let go, to evolve, to adapt. Life is always changing, and we can't hold on to things forever. Nothing lasts forever, not even your body. This will all be gone soon. So even having some notion, I meditate on death very frequently, like at least once a day, at least. I will just stop, and when I say meditate, I mean just have a moment and realize that this too will be gone, this too will pass, and not to cling on to it too much, not to be too attached to my body, to my things around me. I'm not saying that I want to be like a nomad Buddhist that has no possessions or anything. No, that's too extreme in the other direction. No, I enjoy my things, I love my things, and I'm grateful for my body, my vehicle, my material things. I love like beautiful things. I love to own beautiful things, but I'm also I have that. I work on that balance, that I know that nothing's going to last forever. And if you understand that, you'll understand that within our life, we're going to be meeting new people, letting go of old people, having new jobs, letting go of old jobs, training at certain gyms and then leaving, going to new gyms. It's just the nature of life. One door closes, another door opens. It's like reading an incredible book. Would you want to be repeating one chapter over and over and over again? Hell no. You want to see what's in the next chapter, right? And is the next chapter going to be as good as the last chapter? Or wait, I should rephrase that. Is the next chapter going to be the same as the last chapter? No, it's not. So if you think I'm never going to find anyone like my ex again, that's true. You're not. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to find someone way better, because the chances are there are millions of people way better than your ex. Yes, your ex might have certain things that were great, but the new person that you meet is going to have other things that are great. And that's life. So, we do a lot of practice of letting go. Like some of the techniques I like to share with people on letting go is, going through your closet, your wardrobe, and just throwing away things that you don't need, either donating, selling them, giving them away, or just throwing them out. That is a good practice for much more difficult things that we need to let go of in life, like breakups, like death, like anything. Start with your clothes and train that. There's this muscle inside, there's this feeling in your heart that, I don't want to let go, I want to own it, I want to have it, I want to keep it. So when you're able to let go of things, like just clothes to begin with, to start with old clothes, that you might be holding on to, start with those things. And the reward you're going to get will be almost instant. When you throw them away, you're going to feel lighter. And that, I think, is partial genius of living a longer, healthier life. Because what I think slows us down most of all is information in our head. like a hard drive, like the hard drive of a computer. If your hard drive is more full, the computer slows down. But the lighter the hard drive is, the computer runs fast, quickly. It's very similar with our mind. Like if we hold on to things, they're not just material things that we're holding on to in the material world, but they're actually taking up some of our mental space as well. So if you're able to let go of those things, you're freeing up space in your life, in your mind, for new things to come. And it just helps you function better in this world. It helps you evolve. It helps you adapt. So anyway, going back, because I do tend to digress. This channel is called Mouth of the Ape for a reason. But going back to the topic of this video, which is why you should never snoop, or why you shouldn't be snooping on your ex. Well, if processing those thoughts is how we're going to be free and move forward, well then you don't need new thoughts to add, right? You just don't. So when you look at your ex's Instagram, or anyone's Instagram for that matter, you know, anyone who's in your head, who's stuck in your head that's not serving you, if you look at their Instagram or their Twitter feed or their Facebook, you're basically feeding your mind with new thoughts, additional thoughts that you're going to have to digest. So it's kind of like you've eaten like 3 or 4 thick steaks and you're continuing to feed yourself more steaks, right? So what tends to happen is when people find even like a picture of their ex's dinner or lunch plates, they'll just assume the worst, just like I was describing earlier with Jaws and Aliens. You're going to assume the worst. Why are they at this place? I've never been to that restaurant with them. Why is she ordering this? Or why is he ordering that? He never drinks this. She never orders that. Why are there 2 glasses on the table? Who's the other person? You will create the worst in your head of what's going on, where in fact maybe he or she's alone, sad, sulking, trying their best to cheer themselves up, and the person they're with is their mom or their cousin, or, you know. So if you don't know what's going on, it doesn't serve you to assume the worst. And rather than just sort of like pointlessly thinking over and over, you know, these negative thoughts that, oh, she likes someone else, or he likes someone else, or, you know, I'm rejected, or, you know, I'm useless, or this. Rather than having those thoughts, okay, hey, those thoughts are happening for a reason. Well, rather than wasting an entire day or week or days, weeks on just this mindless stream of repetitive thinking, well, what we talk about is how to process these thoughts. So channel that energy of overthinking into overthinking, finding solutions and answers that prove that they do actually care about you, that they do actually miss you, that that this is hard for them. Breakups are hard for everyone involved. So find that evidence. Remember the 2 lawyers in your head. So how to make a convincing case requires evidence, requires proof. So that's your job, to find that evidence, that proof to yourself so you can process and move forward. Now, when you find the proof out, the evidence out, those are your counterbalances. So for every negative, hard, difficult thought to deal with, you should at least counter it 3 times. So if like one negative thought, like let's say the negative lawyer in your head is saying, you're worthless, you're never going to find anyone again, well, you're going to need to counter that with 3 counter arguments. So the positive lawyer stands up and says, objection, Your Honor, I just got out of a relationship, which is proof that I'm able to get into relationships, and I just was with someone that I cared a lot about, which is proof that I was just able to get with someone that I care a lot about, which is proof that I'll be able to get into a new relationship with someone even better, because guess what? Life, we tend to improve as we go forward. We think we're not, but we are. Our awareness is actually getting better. We expect more. We're not as easily as amused, which is why we tend to become more miserable as we grow older, because we need more. Our expectations or our standards are increasing. We want more and more and more, which is why gratitude is so important. But that's another video. So understand why it's so important not to snoop, because when you snoop, you're just feeding your brain with more thoughts to process, when you already have plenty of thoughts in your head that you need to digest. So digest them all first and close the mouth so that no more is coming in. Close the eyes, close the ears. They say, what's those, the monkeys, right? See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, right? So practice that. Shut yourself off. You can say shut yourself off, or as I prefer to say, channel your attention onto the things that serve you more. And then the shutting off just happens automatically, because you're going to be too occupied being busy with your things. I would even go further. So just to give you a full toolkit of what you should be doing here is not only don't snoop on their Instagram and their Facebooks and all of this social media, but go through your texts, go through your phone, any recent calls, go through your recent call registry, get rid of their name, get rid of their texts. If you don't want to delete them, just hide or archive, but it's even better if you can delete them. Get them all out. You shouldn't be seeing their name in your contacts. Any emails in your inbox, hide them, delete them. Check your sent folder too in your email. Hide all of them, delete them, get rid of them, because you don't want to. You're going through a period of healing. Right? This isn't burying, this isn't trying to run away from facing your problems. No, this is, you've broken your arm, you need to put a cast on it, you need a period of time to get stronger so that you can then face all these things again, and they're not going to bother you. They're not going to have a effect on you. But for now, you're healing, and the healing is happening in your head with the thoughts you're having. The thoughts are at the root, at the heart of everything. So they should be your priority every day. You should be waking up with your journal and have this drive and determination of, you know what, today I'm going to try to capture 3 negative thoughts. I'm going to counterbalance them 3 times each. Starting off with asking the question, hey, does this thought serve me? The answer is usually going to be no, it doesn't. And then proceed into 3 counter arguments. Okay? So understand how powerful our thoughts are, and sadly how most of us we are really untrained in mastery of our thoughts, mastery of our attention. And this is what you're doing throughout this whole experience, is strengthening your ability to master your thoughts and your attention, the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your mind. Because everything, your entire life, stems out of your thoughts, out of your beliefs. And if you can learn to, number 1, be aware of what you're thinking, and then number 2, molding and crafting your thoughts, taking control of your thoughts and what you're thinking, what you're believing, then just everything in your life, you're going to just dominate pretty much everything you decide that you're going to face. And it all starts with awareness. How you can strengthen your awareness is through meditating, practicing your awareness of your thoughts. How do we become more aware of our thoughts? Well, a trick that I like is be aware of your feelings, because thoughts are hard sometimes to be aware of. Sometimes we snap out of a stream of thinking of like 20 minutes, and we're like, damn, for 20 minutes I've just been caught in this thinking. And that's okay if you snap out of that after 20 minutes. Just keep snapping out of it. And then you'll notice that, hey, first time was 20 minutes, then it's 10 minutes. And then eventually you'll get to the point where as soon as a thought pops in your head, your awareness is active. And you're like, hey, this thought doesn't help. Or this thought does help. It's like the gatekeeper. But awareness is the first and foremost most important thing. You can also take control of your thoughts with your hand, by writing down, I am great, I am fast, I am strong, I am powerful, I am, amazing. Life is amazing. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for that. That's you taking active control, taking the car by the steering wheel, or taking the reins of the horse, whatever you want to call it, and taking control of your thoughts. And the more you do that, the more that becomes a habit, the more that type of thinking becomes a habit. The more you become stronger at being aware and taking control and thinking in that way. So awareness is very important, and understanding, how important thoughts are, and what else you can do? Other tricks, as I was saying, is be aware of your feelings, because feelings are easier to spot than thoughts. Thoughts we can, like I said, get lost in 20 minutes of thinking without realizing, but feelings are easy to spot. And feelings are triggered usually by thoughts. So if you feel sad, if you feel depressed, if you feel angry, know that there are thoughts behind that. There are beliefs behind that. So you can use your feelings to sort of like trace back to the root, to the thoughts. And then once you get to the thoughts, that's when you can do your counterbalancing, counter thoughts, to massage them out, to dissolve them. Right? So another way to look at this is, thoughts, negative thoughts are sort of like knots in your body. They need to be massaged out, right? And when you massage them out, everything flows. You feel healthy. You feel amazing again. All right. So we don't want to be like, lingering in negative thoughts, as most people sadly tend to do. Sometimes for months, sometimes weeks, sometimes years even. We don't want to do that. We want to move forward. We want to adapt. We want to accept that life is change. That, like the saying goes, the only constant in life is change, right? Another quote I really love, I'm going to butcher it, but it's along the lines of, traveling to new landscapes isn't about necessarily like going to see new places, but it's about seeing things through different eyes, through different perspectives. So you don't necessarily need to even go change your environment to see things differently. It's more about changing the way you see things. And the way you see things is how you're thinking, how you're believing. So why not, rather than taking a vacation to Bali or Thailand or wherever, just try out a different way of thinking. Try out a different way of believing. Just try it out and see if it serves your life, if it improves your life or not. And yeah, I know that sounds easy to say, and yes, to do it is different, because you're going to be working with decades, years of conditioning, mental conditioning. If I do this every day, then my body, my muscles, my mind learns to do this every day. And if I start doing this every day, well, it's going to take time to recondition that. It's the same with your thinking. If you think in a certain way all the time, that's probably a result of years and years and years of thinking that way over and over and over. So to create new ways of thinking, it takes the equal amount of work. So that's why journaling helps, because you're doing the reps. You're putting in your time to recondition your mind. Not change your mind into a new person. No, we can't do that. It's just you're steering yourself onto a better path. That's all. All right, so I hope this video helps. And, again, thanks to everyone who's tuning in. And asking questions and liking and sharing and all of that, and just interacting and engaging. A special thanks to everyone who's been joining on my Patreon page. I'm going to upload a new video on there shortly after this. And I'm going to keep putting videos up on there for people who are supporting. Even there are a lot of people who are starting off with $1. Thank you. Even $1, it's fine. It helps. Just the fact that you're supporting, it means a lot, and I appreciate it. And yeah, a lot more videos to come. So adios for now. Stay tuned for more. Talk soon. Bye.